to this computer. Hey everyone, welcome to So We Were Told. This is Grapple News Now, our YouTube edition. Andy, this is our third incarnation of this show. Can you believe it?
I guess that's true because there was Grapple News Now, the podcast, and then there was Grapple News Weekly, the
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
and now this video thing.
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. Um, so we're gonna do the top news stories in wrestling. And Andy has curated us a list. So
Yeah.
Andy, what is topic number one?
I thought maybe it best to talk about whenever, because we're going to do this every Friday.
Mhm.
We're going to try at least. And, there's typically big wrestling shows on the weekend. So I thought Friday's a good day to preview whatever big wrestling show is happening. And it just so happens that this weekend, in fact, I believe starting at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, is Clash at the Castle, Scotland,
Oh boy.
the big the big World Wrestling Entertainment show. And I can tell you that, as is typical of kind of recent WWE, there are one, two, three, four, five matches on this card on this pay-per-view.
And they'll still go 5 hours somehow.
It will still be long, yes. Um, but so this is the sequel to last year's Clash at the Castle, where Drew McIntyre failed to win a world title, and he's back again this year to try to do it again.
Wasn't he sidelined at that show? There was one show where he only came out and like held up his sword in the aisleway.
I thought he lost to Robin at last year's Clash at the Castle.
Hmm. I don't remember. What one would he have been like out for them?
I don't know, something in England maybe that they just thought like let's trot this injured guy out here anyway.
Yeah, that's what it felt like they were doing.
Yeah, Roman versus Drew. Also, no, I'm sorry, that was 2022. So it's been almost 2 years since that happened.
Oh, huh.
So I
I
don't know
thought
what they would have had him come out for
I thought he was.
whilst injured.
It must have been some other overseas show they did in 2023.
Must have been. But I can tell you that this show is happening tomorrow morning, and here is what WWE fans have to look forward to on Peacock. For the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, a triple threat match between the teams of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, who are the current champions, taking on Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, and the unholy union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
I didn't know they were still a thing.
I don't know who Zoe Stark is, to be quite honest.
Zoe
I'm gonna.
Stark is the girl that tagged with Trish Stratus when she was doing her comeback thing. You remember that? I only
No.
saw her in that. I didn't see her.
So, full transparency, I I love pro wrestling. I've loved pro wrestling since 1989. I only watch All Elite Wrestling at this point in time,
Yes.
and largely because there are now 5 hours a week of All Elite Wrestling, and that's all I can handle. So I don't know who a lot of these recently of NXT people are anymore.
I do know that Zoe Starks was one of the first people they tried out when they did the NXT 2.0 deal. Because
Okay,
I remember I hated that name when
I saw so little of NXT 2.0.
um
Um,
my
and
full
if I
disclosure, I've not watched WWE except for some big pay-per-views since when did I stop?
I don't know.
I think
Um,
it was 2021 somewhere.
Here's what I'll say. My pledge to you and all the fans of you who are watching this is that I will attempt to be completely neutral in my reporting of the news. I'm just reporting facts. I don't have opinions on WWE because it would not be fair to me to have opinions on WWE because I don't watch it.
Sure.
So Yeah, but I have to be honest, I don't know who a lot of these people are at this point. Okay.
Um,
Maybe
so
maybe as we do this show week after week, I will know their names then,
what was the weird, unholy, whatever it was called, group called?
The Unholy Union.
Okay, Isla Dawn was in the Mae Young, or not, the tournament for the NXT UK Women's Championship. I remember that. And who was the
Yes.
other girl?
Alba Fire, who was someone else in NXT
Yeah,
UK, and they made her change her name when she came to America NXT.
I think it was Kay Lee Ray.
Right, who just had a terrible tragedy.
What was the tragedy?
I believe her mother was visiting her and was struck by a car and killed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I did not hear that. That is horrible. Well, I'm glad she's feeling good enough to come back. I'm sure they wouldn't make her if she let me take that back. The old regime would have made her. I'm sure Triple H, Paul Levesque would have given her as much time as she wanted.
Yeah. No, very, very sad. But yeah. So yeah, so that's that match for the women's tag team titles. I think I was aware that Bianca and Jade were the champions. I think I had seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I've seen them in promos together or short clips on Instagram, they come across like complete stars. Like they are just like I this match is probably only to put them over as like crazy monsters who can beat up two people at once.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, coming off like a star was never Jade's problem, right?
No, but like with Bianca, she's like I feel like elevated because the two of them play off each other so well.
Hmm. We have for the Intercontinental title, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. And Chad Gable, of course, has been in the news a bit lately because his contract situation is
Yeah.
up in the air. Although it seems very likely that he will end up staying with WWE based on the reporting that's come out on that.
I think he's as most people are doing right now, they're trying to see who will give them the best offer. And as Kevin Nash would probably tell you, go for it and try and get as much money as you can. So
Yeah,
hope he gets a good deal.
I think I think he's staying. That's at least kind of what I've heard and read.
I've seen a lot of people on threads hope for a team angle like situation with him leading the two other collegiate guys that I can't think of their name, the Creed brothers.
Mm,
Uh, they all wear singlets and it
yeah,
has that look. There are even people who want Kurt Angle to manage them, but I don't. As much as I think Kurt Angle would make a good mouthpiece, Chad is so short. I don't think I would want to put Kurt next to him. You know what
no,
I mean?
yeah. It's
So
not exactly the same thing, but it's like when AEW hired Lance Archer, and it's
yes,
like, awesome, we've got this really tall giant monster. Who should we have manage him? Oh, a man that is almost as tall as him. Good
yeah,
idea.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like the opposite. It's like the Chris Statlander Stokely Hathaway dynamic is what you want. You know?
Yes.
Yeah,
If you're gonna be a manager, you really need to be short and not come across like a bigger, badder dude than the person you're managing.
yeah.
That's how I don't know how Diamond Dallas Page managed for as long as he did, because he looks huge.
Yeah, I guess, but Scott Hall's enormous too.
Yeah, I guess.
So that was probably the way that worked. For the women's title, we have Bailey, the champion, defending against Piper Niven, who I learned today from listening to the flagship wrestling podcast, has not won a match in the calendar year of 2024.
Are you surprised? Um, I she's Scottish, so I feel like that's the only reason this is happening.
She's Scottish, but how long have they known this show was happening?
Um, you know they don't think about anything till after WrestleMania.
You can't have her like okay, that's been what? That's been over 2 months ago. You can't have her like on TV winning squashes here and there.
I feel like they even have that stupid Twitter show. I refuse to call it X, but that Twitter show.
Speed.
Yeah, why can't you have her like squash people in 3 minutes on there?
Speed plays into a story we're gonna have a little later.
Yeah. But
But
use that, like, have a
yeah.
women's version or something. I don't know.
So this is obviously just pandering to the local market, and I mean, I imagine the person who they've not deigned to let win a match this year will not become the new champion.
No. Unless
Then
Bailey gets injured.
for the WWE World Heavyweight title, which is the new belt, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The one Seth Rollins held for a year.
I swear to God, when we get to talk about AEW topics, I'll have much more command of the subject.
It's the one that looks like the big gold belt they stuck a huge WWE logo on.
The one behind you?
It looks like that one with the WWE logo stuck in the middle of it.
Okay. Damian Priest, the champion, defends against Drew McIntyre. And this is where you actually maybe could see a title change
Yeah.
because they're in Scotland and that title is kind of fake anyway.
It's the
And
younger of all their belts at the moment.
is Damian Priest like I guess we don't know because we don't watch the show. Has it made Damian Priest to be being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion?
I've read that he comes across as a champion and but what I think is going to happen is they're going to transition to Drew McIntyre because they'll want to do Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk because they've been teasing that since CM Punk came back.
Well, they did. I mean, the last WWE thing I watched was WrestleMania, and Punk did the spot at WrestleMania where he was announcing, and then he got up and
Yeah.
he hit Drew with a move.
Yes. And he
Yeah,
also hit him with the brace, didn't he?
sure.
I think
I
he took
believe
off
that.
I think he took off the whatever kind of brace you wear on your elbow.
Elbow brace.
But like it looked like a fancy one. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay. Look like some kind of mechanical arm.
Yeah, but he took it off when all in one motion, then slapped somebody with it, and I was just like, that seems like something you do in the future. I don't know.
And then in the presumptive main event for the WWE, uh, do they have a name for the combined belt, or is it still two belts?
I think they call it the undisputed WWE Championship, even though
Okay.
there's two belts when you count the other one, so it's not undisputed. Whatever, it's fine.
Okay, so for that belt, the Roman belt,
Yes.
Cody defends against AJ Styles in, I guess this is back to back, right?
No, they had him at Backlash, and then Cody faced somebody else last month.
Wasn't Backlash last month?
Backlash was. Hold on, have they not had two shows? I thought they had two shows.
I think no, because WrestleMania was April. Then I think
Yeah.
Backlash was the May show, and this is the June show.
Okay, then maybe it is back to back.
That
I
would be
thought
weird. That would be very outside of their normal booking pattern if they did a title match, then they did another challenger, and then it was like the other guy was like, "No, I need another shot." I don't know why we didn't do two in a row, but like I guess I decided to just piss off for a few weeks.
who did. I swore they. I need a calendar. I swore they had something else because Cody. Maybe they did something on Raw and Cody defended on Raw. I remember the
Maybe
title defense.
Backlash Lyon, I believe it was, because they
Yeah,
were in Francais. So yeah, so that's Clash of the Castle. So you can check that out in the morning, depending on when Jason uploads this video.
it's going up tonight. It's going up
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah, that's on Peacock. You can watch it for as little as $5. And you know what? For the purposes of watching WWE live, you might as well just pay them $5 because even if you pay the $10, you still have to watch like not an ad, but like an
Superstar
annoying video
thing.
package.
Yeah, I've never seen those because I guess I never I did something where I got it for like free
Hmm.
for like so many months and then it rolled over and I didn't know what kind of account it rolled over to and I just kept whatever it was. But I never see those bios, so I assume I'm paying the $5.
I would think so, yeah. I used to think that, well,
They did the Saudi Arabia show.
oh, right. Did Cody wrestle? Oh, Cody wrestled Logan Paul on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew there was something.
Logan Paul who took an interesting photo this week. Yeah.
I don't think yeah, I saw that. I don't think AJ Styles went to Saudi, so that's why they can come
Okay.
in.
I believe that. All right. So that is Clash of the Castle. Now, this past weekend, they had NXT Battleground from UFC's Apex little facility.
I heard this was weird.
Yeah. The Apex is weird. It's I mean it's like a studio. It's where they I forget when it opened, but it's where they shoot everything, all the fights for Ultimate Fighter now,
I
basically.
If I remember correctly, they built it in 2019 for the purpose of Ultimate Fighter, but then when all the lockdowns happened, they filmed a lot of their low-level UFC shows there
And they
because
still do. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is smart because, you're getting TV money to produce those, but maybe, you know, those shows aren't going to sell well
Hmm.
to a large audience because there aren't stars on those shows.
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, so NXT
There weren't stars on this show either.
NXT came and they had their show. And let's just run down the results real quick. We opened with a North American women's title six-way ladder match. And I believe I was able to pick up from context when this was going on that this was to crown the first North American women's champion.
Yes.
Okay. And Kalani Jordan defeated Fallon Henley and Jada Parker and Lash Legend and Michin and Sol Ruka to become the first NXT North American Women's Champion.
I know who Michin is and don't know who any of the rest are.
Michin is Mia Kim, right?
Mia Yim.
Mia Yim, sorry.
Yeah.
I know I've seen clips of Sol Ruka because she has a cool finisher.
Is that the girl that does the flippy cutter looking thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a cool move. I don't know like how she is at doing anything else, but she can hit her finisher.
She's good at making reels, apparently.
Yeah. And Lash Legend, I remember getting signed, and
Is she the
then
gigantic lady with the curly hair?
I don't know. I don't think she's
Okay.
gigantic. Maybe she is. I don't know. I just remember her. And Fallon Henley is just one of those names that I've heard Brian Alvarez pronounce in a really exaggerated way.
I can't not think of Jimmy Fallon and think that you just named like you just looked up late night host
Yeah.
and saw Fallon. Like the next person's gonna be named after Colbert or something, and it's gonna be very obvious.
Could be any Stewarts in WWE.
Not currently.
Yeah. Um, yes. So that is that match. And then we had for the NXT tag team titles, Axiom, the former A Kid of Spain. I remember that. And Nathan Fraser, who I
Sounds like a
forget his
boxing person.
no, I forget his name, but he was on an episode of Dynamite and he really impressed people. And then WWE signed him very quickly.
What's his ethnicity?
He's white. Um, I can't remember. I cannot remember what his like name before was. And you know what? This is a new show. I'm gonna look it up. Why not? Right?
We're coming across as such good wrestling fans if we don't.
Well, listen. I don't know what to tell you. Ben Carter.
I don't recognize that name.
Okay, he wrestled. I believe he wrestled Scorpio Sky on one of those NBA playoff times Saturday Night Dynamites back in
Oh,
the day.
yeah, where they
I say
didn't
back in the day, like we're not still dealing with that, but
they didn't put their best foot forward.
yeah, it was just like let's do this, let's give this guy a look, and then WWE was like that guy
Hey, you
is
know what?
cool.
I don't think they had any competition during the Charleston, West Virginia show that I went to, and that show kind of sucked.
Yeah, well, sometimes Dynamite is, you know, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I know, I know.
But anyway, so Axiom and Nathan Fraser, who apparently are the tag team champions, remained so as they defeated the OC, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, who were still around.
I didn't know they were in NXT.
Yeah.
Good for them, I guess.
In something called an NXT Underground match, which I gather is like Raw Underground.
Um,
From,
I think this is what yes, I think they basically converted that to NXT with the no ropes and stuff.
yeah. So it's like the Shane McMahon Raw era
Yeah.
Raw Underground.
And I even read that they pitched using the octagon for that, but
Oh,
logistically they couldn't get it in and out on a live show.
no, makes sense. I bet Dana White was just like, logistically that probably won't work, and he didn't want to just say like no.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels is like, do we have an octagon?
But yes, in an NXT Underground match, Lola Vice defeated Shayna Baszler. Um, do you know who Lola Vice is? Okay, all right.
Couldn't pick her out of a line.
For the for the WWE NXT North American title in a triple threat match, we had Oba Femi, who is the champion,
That's the big
defeating
dude, right?
sure
I think he's a
defeating
large
Joe,
black.
okay, Joe Coffey, who I know from Gallus,
Yes.
and Wes Lee, who was
Yeah.
one of the Rascals, I think, at some point.
And he was previously North American champion before he was injured, I think.
Oh, okay. NXT Women's title, Roxanne Perez defeated Jordan Grace from Impact Wrestler, TNA Wrestling. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. She's getting a lot of work in the E. Uh,
What do you think of that relationship?
so I read something funny that I don't know if it's legit. So what season is it currently in AEW, Andy?
It's contract negotiator, it's TV media rights season.
No, it's AEW Forbidden Door season.
Mm.
So what I heard was since AEW and New Japan were getting so much attention from their crossover stuff that WWE wanted in on some crossovers, and so they've opened the prohibited portal to
Oh,
TNA.
okay.
I
All
don't
right.
I don't know how legit that is, but I did hear that someone from NXT is going to be challenging Jordan Grace on their pay-per-view. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know who that is.
Fun. Um,
Oh, and
have you,
apparently they're doing a battle royal soon for something, and some of the male talent are going to be coming to NXT from TNA to be in the battle royal.
okay.
I don't know if that's legit, but that's what I read.
So do you know the I think it was called All American Wrestling. It was a syndicated show that WWF had in the 80s. Have you heard
Oh,
of this?
I vaguely, yes.
They had it into the 90s, but like the original concept, and someone please correct me if I'm misremembering history here, because it does predate me. Vince McMahon basically asked other promoters around the country. So this was like early in him taking over the company from his dad.
Hmm.
And he was like, "Send me tapes of your top guys, and we'll put them on TV, right? Like, this will be like the show just for like to showcase wrestling from all over the country."
Kind of like a spotlight for people.
Exactly. So some promoters did, and Vince put like those guys, like those marketable guys on TV. And then once they had been on the All American Wrestling show a few times or whatever, and and they were familiar with the WWF audience at large, he then poached those guys.
That was my next question. Was this like his menu option of who I'm gonna poach? Like,
Yeah, I think maybe like a lot of like AWA jumps were as a result of that, like post Hogan. But Anyway, so yes, he did that, and I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking, is this Triple H's version of the like we want to get a look at Jordan Grace,
Well,
and you know,
yeah, on the TNA side of things, I heard they're kind of in trouble, like in terms of like financially viable and all that kind of stuff. Especially since oh crap, Team Canada guy, what's his name? Scott
Scott
Demore?
Demore,
Yeah.
Scott Demore. Yeah,
I always think of him as the leader of Team Canada, and
I mean, yeah,
it's impossible for me to think of him as a executive, but whatever, he was. Um, and
you realize that was 20 years ago.
yes,
Yeah.
don't make me feel that old, please. Okay. Um, yeah, so he after he left, the new people weren't so good at running it, I guess. And so they were running into some financial problems, and that's why they were cutting some people recently or letting contracts lapse. And so some people have said that they agreed to the WWE deal, even though they probably thought, oh, they might want to steal Jordan Grace, because at least it got TNA some exposure and people talking about them and stuff like that. So
And I
that,
assume some influx of cash.
yeah, I
Yeah.
presumably. So
Now, the only thing I that is a possible quibble is I think it might have been more Demore wanted, like, the reason Demore was let go is because he wanted them to spend more money and they were already in kind of like
yeah.
cutting mode. So it's not that like they didn't know how to run it, which they might not, but it was just like we need this to be leaner. So
Yeah, that's probably true. Um, I just heard that the new guy is not a wrestling guy, and so he's kind of just like I get winging it as he's going.
yeah,
um, he's just a oh, is it Anthem that still owns them? He's just
yeah.
an Anthem guy. Like he's in, and he is in finance, I think. So that's his.
You you certainly don't hear buzz aside from this stuff with the WWE. You don't hear buzz about TNA the way you did kind of like a couple years ago when Demore was running it, and people would say like, "Oh wow, like you know, Impact is pretty good actually. Like secretly, Impact is a good show." And I'd be like, "Oh," and then not watch it, but I'd be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay, yeah, I
yeah.
acknowledge that you told me that."
And you'd hear about them doing like an interesting angle here and there to promote something they were building. No one would see it, but people would talk
Yeah.
about the fact they did it.
And you'd hear like
Uh,
talk about like how the knockouts division is kind of rebounded, and
yeah, yeah. Another, this kind of leans back to the prohibited portal I talked about. Other people were saying that apparently Triple H has reached some kind of a deal with the Great Muda's promotion, Pro Wrestling Noah, and that might be their forbidden door, so to speak, into Japan.
we were going to get there right after we finish this
Aha!
NXT
Okay,
rundown, so let's do that real quick. Um, yeah, so Roxanne Perez beat Jordan Grace. And then in the main event, Trick Williams defended his title against recently of Ring of Honor, Ethan Page, who, I will say something about Ethan Page. Ethan Page, much like a Zack Ryder, was never the guy who you're going to put a major promotion world championship on. He's just not. But he is a guy who I think could have been utilized better by AEW um, in the time that they had him. And I felt the same way about Zack Ryder. It's like not everybody has to be able to be the world champion. You need people up and down the card. And I think Ethan Page could have fit in very well as like a perennial middle of the card guy. You could turn him face, you could turn him heel, you could work with whoever. He's a solid wrestler. He's not gonna blow you away, but he's got some personality. He can have a good match. I just
good
think like,
promo.
yeah, good promo. Yeah. I think there was utility that they did not get out of him that they could have. So
He could have easily been a multi-time TNT champion. Um, they got a
sure,
million
maybe. Yeah.
mid-card belts. I mean, like, give him
Yeah.
one of them
Yeah. And it's
on
just
TV.
yeah. So he came over, he did this match, he lost to Trick Williams, and for all accounts, it was a totally mid match.
I did read that they didn't want to beat him clean on his first match, so there was some like shenanigans, but I didn't understand the shenanigans.
Um, the referee, I believe, distracted him, and then that allowed Trick Williams to like
Oh,
walk up behind him and hit his finisher. So
okay, gotcha.
that's my understanding. Anyway, so
I didn't hear the ref part. I heard there was distraction, but I was like, who? Who's
I
distracted?
think I don't know. Like I think he was trying to do something underhanded, and the referee was like, "Don't do it," and he was like,
Oh,
"Oh, how
okay.
dare you! How dare you enforce these rules?" And then Trick Williams walked up and hit him with his move.
Well, he's used to AEW where you can do whatever you want.
It's true, yeah. Um, yeah. So that was NXT Battleground, and yes. So next we jump to a tweet from Pro Wrestling Noah from a few days back, and I'll just read exactly what it says. The English part. I can't read kanji.
I was about ready to say, is this
Yeah.
translated?
No, it's not translated. They posted it in English.
Okay.
Um, hashtag breaking. A major announcement from Noah and WWE will be made at our Yokohama Buntai event on Sunday. A message from a certain wrestler will also be released. Live on hashtag Wrestle Universe. English commentary.
Okay, so who would go to Japan to wrestle at Noah?
Who's somebody who WWE doesn't use in any other way who they could
Is it
send over?
Nakamura? Would they take Nakamura over there, I guess?
I mean, they let Nakamura go over and do the match with Muda last year,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, so it's probably Nakamura because Io Sky's doing something.
Yes, Io Sky is wrestling on a Marigold show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so in the WWE side of things, it's WWE, TNA, uh,
Noah.
Noah, and Marigold. And on the AEW side of things, it's New Japan,
CMLL.
CMLL,
Yeah.
and
I guess DDT to
Stardom.
some extent.
And Stardom.
Yeah. And they've worked with DDT, but that's awkward now because DDT and Noah have the same owner. So I don't know how that works out. They still don't work with no DDT a ton, but
Do you and does New Japan like DDT?
no.
I didn't think so because I
No.
heard that was why they didn't let them do that title match with Moxley and Takeshita.
I don't know if that's the reason, but I know that, like New Japan would occasionally just like, take a guy from DDT, like
Yeah,
Ibushi and
they were
Omega.
people speculating that that was why it got turned into a title eliminator and not a title match, so that they're like, we don't want that DDT guy challenging for our title.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, yeah. I think I think that is, I believe that's what Joe Lanza speculated at the time. But
And do we know what the status of the AAA relationship is with AEW?
doesn't seem great. I mean, Conan goes on his podcast and blasts AEW all the time.
Okay.
Um, I can't imagine Tony Khan loves that. Um, they just pulled Nick Wayne from a booking for one of the Triple Mania shows this weekend.
All right.
So I think so we can do a collision angle with Christian. So I don't know. I think that if things were going really well, they probably wouldn't do that.
Well, I would.
The only guy they use who is really a AAA guy right now is Commander.
I thought Vikingo was still AAA.
Well, Vikingo is injured, so they
Oh,
haven't used him in months.
okay.
Um, but yeah. So
Everyone
anyway,
else is signed to AEW.
no. So I
Oh,
don't know.
I meant like Roosh and all those guys are signed to AEW, correct? They're not
Yes,
AAA.
yes, yeah. I think Roosh was. I mean, Roosh was a CMLL guy
Oh,
before he, you know, kind of like made America his home base.
do they hate him? Is that why he's not allowed to be on Forbidden Door?
I don't know that he's not allowed to be on Forbidden Door.
Well,
I
I
think
thought
they
they would
just
have put the MJF Roosh match on pay-per-view.
I think they just thought like let's shoot two hot angles of pull aparts and then do a hot match on Dynamite for ratings.
Okay. My first thought was, oh, you must not be allowed on the show.
I don't think so. It seems like things are going in the right direction with that relationship. Like things they're becoming a more trusting partner.
Yeah. They at least don't mind Phoenix and Pentagon, so
Yeah. I would not expect to see like Mystico wrestling Ray Phoenix anytime soon, but
no,
yeah.
but they can be there.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think probably just Nakamura?
I would think. I can't think of anybody else that's Japanese that's of high enough quality to appear overseas.
So I don't even know like what is this? Like what's the point?
Maybe he's gonna challenge somebody, and then that person is gonna come beat him up on Raw or something.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway,
They have any? Is there any Japanese talent in NXT? It seems like they're doing all this stuff with NXT, not purebred WWE.
I don't know. I don't think so.
So yeah, maybe Nakamura is going to be in NXT for a while.
Maybe, 45 years old seems like the time.
He ain't doing anything else. The OC's down there.
Yeah, apparently. Speaking of, as we'll just like rearrange things just slightly to get to this. Natalia's contract is either up or coming up very soon. There was talk that she might be the person who goes to wrestle Jordan Grace in TNA.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's disappointing.
Yeah. So apparently a new contract has been offered. She has not signed it. Um, look, she's in her 40s. If she ever wants to if she ever wants to make a move to do something other than WWE, this is probably like this is it, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
so I guess we'll
And
find
she's
out.
wrestled everyone they have multiple times.
Yes, I think she's got to be the longest tenured woman wrestler in the history of that company, right?
I think she came in like 2006.
Yeah, to developmental at least. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Wild, yeah. So I I wouldn't hate seeing her in a like a veteran role in AEW. Like I don't want her pushed, but I wouldn't
Let
mind her
her
being there.
let her mentor someone or like,
Yeah.
lead a faction or something.
Yeah, like I like Natty, and it might be like my my Total Divas fandom, you know, getting out in front of
She's the nicest person that gets taken advantage of.
yeah, and W, like
And
I don't
remember when they were starting NXT television and she had all those hot matches with Charlotte, and everyone's like, "Why don't you let her do this on Raw?" And they still wouldn't let her do it.
well, I mean, they weren't letting anybody do it on Raw at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, no, I don't know. It's just like WWE, maybe not lately, but WWE has a history of not treating her very well, and she just kind of takes it.
Paycheck's
So,
probably good.
oh, I'm sure, especially after what happened to TJ. I
Hmm.
mean, I mean, yeah, that's the other thing. Do you want Natty on the outside talking about stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because my understanding is that they were negligent with that issue, with that situation.
What if she just really wants to do the Owen Hart Cup? And they're like, okay, go wrestle in AEW for a few months and we'll bring you back.
That is that is not what they do. You can tell me that it's different now. That is not what they do.
Maybe
So I
that's
don't
what
know.
she wants.
It'd be interesting. I mean, if it's an Owen Hart Cup related thing, one way or another, we'll know very soon.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's the Natalia thing. Um, as far as other talent movement, potential talent movement, we got Ricochet,
Yeah.
who Mike Johnson of PW Insider reported that he is out the door. He has given notice. Dave Meltzer said, wait, maybe not. Sean Ross Sapp said, no, he did. Then Dave Meltzer said, yes, he did. So, so the kind of the three big scoopsters of
All they
this,
all agree now.
they all agree now. Yeah. Um, seems like seems like Dave talked to Ricochet, and then, and then at least
He's
that's the
like, yeah,
impression that
yeah,
I
you're
get.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I
So,
I
and
think
then they
what's
did,
gonna
and then they
happen.
did, and then they did an angle on Raw to basically write him off of TV.
But did you see what they put on social media? They were like, Ricochet is gonna be out for months. They made it sound like he will be back. And I'm like, I don't think he's coming back.
Well, maybe they're still hedging their bets in case he does resign,
Yeah.
But um but yeah, I mean they did a big beatdown of him in a parking lot against Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker put him through a windshield. Hope hope CM Punk was not too triggered by that.
Is that real glass?
uh,
Um, I think you're gonna see Will Ospreay do an open challenge on Dynamite, and he's gonna accept it.
for a match on Dynamite?
Uh-huh.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
If you've got
Surprise.
Ricochet, if you've got Ricochet, Will loses to Swerve at Forbidden Door like he should anyway. Ricochet challenges Will for Wembley for the international title.
How far away is that?
That is late August.
Mm, 2 months after Forbidden Door, or 1 month and a couple weeks.
2 months, like
Okay.
almost 2 months.
Mm. I just think the
What else
pop
are you
is
going to
in.
do? What else are you going to do with Will at Wembley? Because coming into this, 'cause, like when they signed Will Ospreay, everybody's idea was, oh, Will Ospreay is going to win the world title at Wembley, right? And
Yeah,
then he won the international title, and they were
yeah,
like, oh, well, interesting. And then they announced him versus Swerve for the world title at this pay-per-view before, and then everybody was like, oh, so what is Will doing at Wembley? He has to be doing something significant.
yeah. I don't know.
So, you
What's
know,
Brian Danielson doing at Wembley?
I mean, well, if you believe him and his
I don't usually.
dying wish to win the Owen Hart Cup tournament, he's going to challenge Swerve Strickland for the world title.
Dang it.
Or, maybe I don't know. Like I don't know how much of a collider you are, but
No, I'm not.
Nigel McGuinness is constantly taking shots, and
Yeah,
they
that's
were
true.
apparently supposed to wrestle last year at Wembley, so maybe that's still happening.
Okay, so I don't have a fantasy card for Wembley yet.
Yeah, I
But
mean we'll get there. We'll
well,
have one.
then maybe Will Ospreay needs a mystery partner and it's Ricochet or something. I just feel like those two are intrinsically tied together.
No, they are, but then that's why you should do that match on like in a stadium.
When on Dynamite this week, when Will did the flip out of the Frankensteiner land on his feet, I'm thinking
Yeah,
like that's the Ricochet.
it is. That's
And
Ricochet did that to Ibushi.
I just know it like they do it to each other in that one match that's like famous on the one that broke Jim Cornette's brain.
Oh yeah, the was Best of Super Juniors 2017, something like that.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And because that's where I first saw it. He's done it with other people, but like I just it's also similar to the Ricochet spot with Velveteen Dream, where he like jumps outside.
Yeah,
um so I
it's
just
true.
I just intrinsically thought like Ricochet's coming in, like as soon as I saw that spot on Wednesday.
I mean, and then did you see? I mean, I don't know. Do you follow the great man Will Ospreay on Instagram?
I do, but I think I have so many people on my feed now, I don't see his posts.
Okay, so he was walking around somewhere, and there was like a big pole that just said Ricochet on it, and he just kind of pointed it out. And this was like 2 nights ago.
Oh,
You know,
these much.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
Can
I
I say
I
something about
think
Will Ospreay real quick?
yeah.
Watching that match with Ray Phoenix, which by the way, it's an injustice that AEW has not put that full match on YouTube. They start after the first commercial break, which pissed me off. But
Hmm.
I was going to send it to a friend and be like, "You missed this match and you need to see it." But like, I've been watching Will Ospreay since. I don't know. He was on one of the Tokyo Dome shows I watched several years ago. So I've seen his matches online. I've seen him in AEW. I've seen him in New Japan, and his work in AEW has been tremendous. And I feel like they need to capitalize on him more because he has like that like Shawn Michaels like babyface charisma stuff that like they could make him larger than life if they could just get eyeballs on him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't know if they need to like start like pumping out TikToks or something with him hitting high spots or something. I don't know what it is, but they have something in him that they haven't had in a lot of other talent, and they need to take advantage of it.
They need an overhaul of their social media department.
Yeah, they do.
They are losing the war badly on that front.
I see more
Um,
stuff that fans make than I see stuff that they make on
yeah,
social media.
yeah, like they need to hire like a serious person who can run that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No, I
he's
agree with
he's
you.
the,
I do.
he's the perfect one for it because he's the clickbait kind of thing.
I mean, yeah, he has a human highlight reel.
Yeah.
I think they are doing a pretty good job with him. I don't think they've fumbled it yet.
No, they haven't.
Um, I I think maybe the plan is to try to get him even hotter, and then you do maybe do the big world title win next year at Wembley.
Brian Alvarez said that in every promotion he's seen Will Ospreay in, he will be pushed and then lose to someone, and that's like his Achilles heel that he has to overcome, and like that's been like every story and every promotion he is. So he thinks that Swerve is gonna be his like I gotta work harder than ever to beat him kind of
Mhm.
thing. So I believe that's where they're going.
Yeah, like you could like
If it wasn't so close to Wembley, I would say that would still be a Wembley match and have like the second match there, but that's too close.
you could even do something where if you know if AEW had long term booking anymore, which I don't know that they do, um, you could do a thing where next year in the Owen, after Swerve has presumably lost the title by then, like they meet in that tournament, and
He finally beats
maybe
him.
even Will beats him in the finals, so that's how he gets to Wembley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be a good story.
thank you. And yeah, we just have one more kind of. Oh, like I'm pro them signing Ricochet. By the way, I guess that's the long story short. Yeah. Um, New Japan had their Dominion show last weekend.
I didn't realize it was Dominion. I knew they had a show. I didn't know it was Dominion.
Yes, they had Dominion,
Okay.
and I'll just run down like we did with the WWE show. I'll just run down the results real quick. In the opener, Tetsuya Naito defeated Callum Newman, who is he's like the new hot shit British guy.
Oh, okay. We lost Will Ospreay. We need a new one of these.
Yeah, he's like 20, 21, something like that. And people like say that he's like a he's like where Will Ospreay was when Will Ospreay was 20. You
Okay.
know.
That's
So
not a bad place to be.
no, I mean if you yeah, if he stays on that track, obviously he'll be one of the best wrestlers of the time.
Yeah. And especially in New Japan system.
Yeah. TMDK, the mighty don't kneel, which
Being
was
dipped.
Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, and Zack Sabre Jr. defeated the Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors, and Drilla Maloney and LJ Cleary.
Okay. Do you know if Bullet Club War Dogs is like the NWOB team?
That might be an apt comparison. Yes.
Okay. Because I've
'Cause
heard their name and didn't know what I was supposed to think about them.
I feel like House of Torture is like NWO Hollywood.
Yeah. Or Elite, whatever they call themselves, the combined one,
Oh,
the
yeah,
Wolfpack
yeah,
one.
yeah. What was that called? They
I
had
They had a shirt called Reunion or something like that.
it didn't last that long, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Hope got hurt. Well, hurt.
yeah. Um, the NJPW King of Pro Wrestling title, Storm Catch Rules. I don't know what that means. But the Great Okan defeated Yuya Uemura to win the King of Pro Wrestling title. The King of Pro Wrestling title, Jason, is that title
Yeah, they
where,
vote on the thing, right?
yeah, they like fans vote on what the stipulation for every match is, which I find charming for a third match on the show title. So that's fine. I don't ever want to see it in a semi-main event, but third match
No,
on the show, that's fine. um,
I think that's their title to
honestly,
have a guaranteed gimmick on every show.
honestly, remember when WWE introduced the 24/7 title?
Oh God, yes.
And it was like the talk was that it was a USA request
Yeah.
for who knows? I mean, I don't know what game of telephone started with USA making a request and WWE coming up with the 24/7 title, but I don't know. Something like the King of Pro Wrestling title probably would have been a more fun way to do that
Yeah.
because you get fan involvement there too.
They were just like, we want Mick Foley doing a bunch of crap backstage like you did in 1998. Can you do that again?
Um, Never open weight six-man tag team titles. Los Ingobernables de Japón, which is Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Yoda Tsuji in this case, defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Prez, Oleg Boltin, and Toriano to win. It was a title change. So
Is
Naito's
is
boys getting belted up here.
is Tanahashi actually going by the praise?
No, it's just what he's my president, so I just
Okay, I just wanted to know because I felt like that would have been really
I see like pictures of like him and Tony Khan both wearing suits like
yeah,
backstage
yeah,
and things,
I
and
have too.
I'm just like in a way, these two men are on the same level now. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Tony Khan's like probably fanboying over the whole thing.
Uh, NJPW World Television Title match. We had Jeff Cobb defeating Tomohiro Ishii to retain the title.
When did Zack Sabre lose that belt? I thought he was still champion.
It was, I think it was on the March tour or maybe the April tour.
Oh. To me, in my
Um,
head, that was the Zack Sabre belt. Like I didn't think he was ever going to lose that thing.
yes, for the NJP IWGP tag team titles and the NJPW Strong Openweight tag team titles with a four-way elimination match where TMDK, Mikey Nichols, and Shane Haste, what was it? Was it TM61? Was that their NXT tag team name?
Something like that.
And then Haste became T Bar
No,
or
he wore
or that
the
was
hard
T
hats.
Bar was Dijak, right?
Yeah. He
Okay,
was he was slap something.
Slapjack.
Yeah,
Okay,
almost said slap nuts.
when WWE attempted to do an Antifa staple. Um, so anyway, that tag team beat Bullet Club, Chase Owens and Kenta, and the Gorillas of Destiny, El Phantasmo and Hikuleo, and Bishamon, Haruki Goto, and Yoshihashi. So they have both sets of titles, and they're wrestling on Dynamite. Or
How come
no,
they haven't
Collision.
merged those
They're wrestling
belts?
Collision tomorrow.
Are they acting like strong is still a thing?
Kind of, but I almost think like maybe they're consolidating it to just kind of, do away with it.
That's what I thought they were doing, and then they haven't gotten rid of the belts yet. So
That's my like conspiracy theory of why Kyle Fletcher pinned Mark Briscoe on Dynamite because they're going to do a title for title match at the next ROH pay-per-view and get rid of the TV title.
I can see it.
Yeah. Um, the only thing of note here, other than the match itself, is Hikuleo walked out afterwards because word is he's going to the Fed.
And I saw his name. Did you see his name?
Tala Tonga.
Yeah, we're just gonna. They're
And
all
he's
talking.
tall. He's real tall. Jason, do you realize how tall he is?
You're gonna make poor is it Wade Barrett on SmackDown have to say all these Tongas over and over and over again? He's gonna get tongue tied.
Yeah.
I guess
Um,
that's better than Pat McAfee trying to do it.
then we had Shingo Takagi and Hinare go into a double knockout in a never open weight title match. So basically a draw.
So who was currently champion?
Shingo, so he retained. Shingo, who announced his participation in the Owen Hart tournament this past Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that. I like that idea. I think I like him. He partnered with Sting in that one match, and that was my first time actually seeing him. The first Forbidden Door. It was
Was it those
Sting.
two in Derby against the Bucks and LP?
It was the
No,
nipple.
it wasn't LP. It was the other guy.
Uh,
Why can't I think of his name?
it sounds like a fake Spanish name.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, um, oh, El Desperado, right?
No, I think it's Phantasmo.
El Phantasmo. So it was LP. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Then IWGP World Heavyweight Title Lumberjack match. John Moxley retains his title. He beats Evil. Tetsuya Naito comes out afterwards, challenges him, and that is official for Forbidden Door here later this month.
Did you hear the storyline leading up to that match?
About like the third generation New Japan guys being pissed
Yeah,
at these House of Torture assholes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then during the match, um, every time Evil would do like Nagata's move or I don't remember the other guy's move or other guy's name, but
Tenzon.
it was the Anaconda Vice was the move. I remember that part.
Tenzon.
Every time he would do them, crowd would boo like crazy. But every time Moxley would do them, everyone would cheer. I thought that's hilarious that you could just go do all these other guys' moves and get
Yeah.
these reactions. So I thought I love the story behind that.
I mean, isn't that kind of what the WrestleMania main event this year is predicated
It
on?
is, but I feel like I don't know. I'd rather get the story in advance that all these guys are going to be out there and it's going to be like a tribute thing. I don't know. I
Mhm.
thought it was nice.
And yeah, and I think then all the old guys like did all their moves to the
Yeah,
House of Torture guys, which is
yeah.
great.
Good for
Yeah.
them. Get that payday.
Uh, and then in the main event, that wasn't the main event. The main event was the finals of the Best of the Super Juniors tournament, and El Desperado won. He beat Taiji Ishimori to win his first Best of the Super Juniors.
Good for him. He's
Yeah,
the mask guy, right? I've seen
he is
him.
he is a masked man. Yes. And then also on this show, they announced that the G1 is going back to the A block, B block format instead of like four
Before.
blocks,
Yeah.
which I prefer because the math is, that's so much more math Dave Meltzer
I,
has to do on the
I
air.
think they only did the four because it was less guys wrestling together and it was a COVID thing.
I have to
So
check to see like what 2019 was because you're right, because 2019 was Moxley was in and there was A block, B block. You're right. Yeah.
I think they did that because you had like five guys in a block or something like that instead
Yeah.
of
So this is
instead
going back to 10 men in each block, 20-man tournament. And yeah, I'm into it. And they're going to reveal 18 of the 20 men on June 16th. So this weekend we will
does
find
that
out. So
mean
next week on the show we can run down the participants, and then there will
that mean the
be a
final
tournament.
two are going to be like surprises?
No, there will be a tournament to determine the final spot and that tournament will end on July 5th.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So two people are going to win their way into it.
Quick question. What's the timeline for the G1? They moved it, right?
Yeah, I think it's scheduled for yeah, it begins July 20th this year. So it'll
Okay.
finish up in August at some point.
So we'll be doing probably the Owen Hart Cup while they're doing the G1.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I was wondering in my head, was the Continental Classic going to take place at the same time the G1 was taking place?
No, because I remember last year the G1 took place before the Continental Classic.
Okay.
Um, and let's see. Is that's all I got.
I had something I was going to ask you. Oh, did you hear about the Undertaker commenting on AEW?
Yeah, and I was curious, so I was like, oh, what did he like? What was he upset about? And
He
the
wasn't
answer is,
upset. So really, he just said that he wasn't sure. He said he hopes that they get better because he wants there to be competition and all that kind of stuff. He thinks they're good for the industry. But he said he wasn't sure if Tony Khan was the right guy to be booking based on, I guess, all the calamity of the past year or whatever. He was like, I understand he's a great owner and a great person, and I like him, and I've heard good things or whatever, but maybe someone else needs to be booking or something like that. And I thought, well, okay, Undertaker, who do you recommend? um, he didn't obviously pitch anybody, but he
does he
questioned it.
watch AEW?
He kind of sounded like he did.
Okay,
Didn't say. At least in the transcript I read, he did not clearly say.
okay,
But
okay.
he did acknowledge that they've been in a rough patch. So, like, I guess that sounds like he's paying attention because he knew what was going on. So,
Yeah, I think it's
I
weirdly,
don't know if I got the full thing because I got it from a someone quoted it and put it on Facebook. So,
okay. Yeah, I'm certainly not going to go listen to the Undertaker's podcast. So
oh, is that where it was? I didn't even know where it was.
yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, so I can't really comment on it because I refuse.
What was the other thing? Shoot. I had two things I was going to ask you about. That was one. Oh, what do you think's going on? When do you think we're going to know about an AEW TV deal?
um, I don't know. I think I think the NBA is very annoyed right now that Zaslav is kind of, yeah, I think they wanted to have this all announced already, and Zaslav is kind of like almost maybe forcing their hand into letting them have like a fourth package of games. So I feel like it'll be after the NBA announces their whatever's their final deal is. I would hope, I hope the sooner the better because I want the discourse to be over.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I want AEW to have security for the next 5 years or whatever it's going to be.
yeah.
Um,
And I
I
know
was
I
kind
know
of
that
hoping.
like I know the people online will move the goalpost to something else to like
Oh yeah, totally.
doom about, but yeah.
The next thing will be if they don't get a certain number at Wembley.
Well,
Like
no, the next thing will be like how immediately the story will be Warner Bros. Discovery is really regretting the the money that they've given AEW.
oh, I actually thought since the NBA is taking their the part that didn't they correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so the NBA took their main package somewhere else, right? They've already announced that one.
Yeah, so I believe that it's going to end up split between, so ESPN is going to have the main package and
Okay.
they've always had the primary package. The secondary package is what Warner Brothers Discovery had for TNT and for TNT.
Okay.
And that is going to kind of be split up between Amazon Prime and NBC Universal.
Okay. Because I saw all the doom and gloom that Shaq and Charles Barkley and all them were going to lose inside the NBA on TNT because everyone apparently loves that show. Um,
It's very popular and yeah.
yeah, so I was like, oh well, if they're not going to have the main or second package, maybe they'll free up some money to give AEW. um,
They've started to announce some sports things. So it seems like they're operating as if they know that they have holes to fill there. They are going to be airing like I think Big East football is one of the things.
Big East doesn't have football anymore.
Maybe it's Big East basketball.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, which would make sense. Uh, and think there's like a tennis thing that they just announced too.
Or like an open of some sort.
Yeah. And the pack, if so, apparently the package, if they force the NBA to give them one, would probably be the games, like the loser games that air on NBA TV right now.
Oh, okay. Like these people aren't in the playoffs. Let's
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
them.
it's like the games that nobody else wants, basically. But it would give them a reason to keep the studio show around, which I think is kind of the
What they're
point,
they're what the
because that's so popular and does so well.
yeah.
Yeah.
They should actually let those guys talk college basketball because
Oh no, it's such a nightmare when they do. Uh,
but I think it'd be
it,
hilarious.
well, it is. So I mean, that exists if you want to check it out. Yeah, but because Warner Brothers Discovery always has some of the tournament.
Yeah, the March Madness stuff.
Yeah, so like Barkley is on there, and he doesn't know any of the players, and he,
Yeah.
just
I
talking.
I just love hearing Shaq be like, I like these people because reasons. He's
Yeah,
like makes
yeah,
up
like
something.
maybe Kenny Smith like watches college ball. I don't know, but Shaq and Barkley definitely don't. So
But Shaq is the coolest dude on the planet.
Shaq is very cool. I will grant you that. But he doesn't even watch the NBA enough to like do his job really. So
That's why he's so lovable because neither do us. We just like want to hear what he thinks about
yeah,
it.
maybe so. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's like the big hurdle for AEW right now is getting that off the ground. Oh, I remember the other thing I was gonna talk about. So MJF is back,
Yes.
and he seems to have adopted a new um flavor to his persona. Let's put it that way. Um,
Where's
what do you
leather
think of
now?
it? Do what?
Where's leather now?
Where's leather now? He does.
Yeah.
He hasn't worn the scarf. He
No, I
hasn't
guess he hasn't.
he hasn't worn a suit.
He
Uh,
brawls.
he brawls. He fights. He doesn't run away. He's a
Hmm.
purebred baby face at this point. It seems like,
Yeah.
uh, but like a mad yelling baby face.
Yes. He's an angry
um,
young man.
what do you think of this character shift?
Um, it's early, but I like it so far. I liked the promo where he set up all the suture programs with
With everyone who has a belt, right? Like,
Osprey and
yeah,
Okada and Swerve. Yeah, so that was good. And yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what he's doing at Forbidden Door since the Roosh match is happening Monday.
yeah. I literally thought that was going to be on the show, and I was surprised when they announced
Me
it.
too. Yeah,
Um,
but
so
he has to wrestle on that show. It's on Long
he has
Island.
to, yeah, he has to. I love that he said that Tony Khan will just send him some Japanese or Mexican guy, and
Sure.
I'm gonna laugh if that really happened. This is some
Yeah, yeah.
jobber guy. Um, so I have to give the devil his due here because I have been famously an NJF hater. And I really like what he's doing right now. I think this would have should have been what he was doing as soon as he turned babyface, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh, because those programs where he was trying to play babyface with these characters who were probably shouldn't have been challenging for the title. I don't even remember who half of them were because it was like they were keeping him away from Kenny Omega. They were keeping him away from it felt like all the main event people were not challenging for the world title while he was babyface. Um, and it just feels more real to me. My biggest complaint with MJF since the turn on Cody Rhodes back in 2019 was that he came across as someone who was playing pro wrestler to me. And he felt like he was just coming out and trying to sound controversial, trying to come across like Roddy Piper because he constantly kept mentioning that he liked Roddy Piper at the beginning. And they would constantly compare him on commentary to Roddy Piper, which I feel like if you're telling me he's like this person and he's coming out and sounding like this person, I was always like, I doesn't feel authentic. And then he had the misfortune of having that misguided feud with Moxley and the weird sing-songy stuff with Jericho and the Inner Circle that which never ended. And I just felt like you took this guy who is by all means a good wrestler and you just made me not want to see him. And I don't know like how many people were in that position because I know he had a lot of people who liked him, but the whole time that he was pushed on top, I felt like I couldn't watch the show because he was all over the place. And I couldn't do it. But now that he's back and he feels fresh, he's not doing the same shtick. I'm excited to see where he's going and what he can do. So I'm surprised that we're going to see him on TV, his first match back. So, um,
I think they're setting it up for that to be a big ratings quarter because they've already said it's opening. They've told you in advance that match is opening the show. That match will have no commercial interruptions.
are they going up against something on Wednesday?
No, I think they just want. I think they just want to, you know,
Like that rating.
they want the fans to stick around for that whole first half hour.
Well, let's see if they can pull off a nice half-hour match and
We'll
see if
we'll know
that's gonna be.
we'll know next Friday when we do this again.
We'll have to put that on the list. We'll talk about MJF and Roosh. Okay.
Sounds good.
I didn't set a timer, so I don't even know what time it is. We were trying to make this show a half hour, you guys. So if I'm over or under, I'm sorry. Um,
We've been going over an hour.
okay, well, oops. All right. We'll be more efficient in the future. Thank you, Andy, for being here. Do you want to plug your all stuff?
Yeah, myself and mine and Jason's friend Megan do a who's also going to be a contributor to this YouTube channel. I understand. We do a weekly AEW centric podcast called The Elite Beat. We've been doing it since October of 2019 when Dynamite first launched, and yeah, so almost 5 years. Jason's been a guest a couple of times, and
Woo.
if you, I mean, if you just need another AEW recap podcast in your life, please check us out. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on all the things. The Elite Beat.
Support people.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you, Andy. And tune in on I don't know what I have coming up on Monday. We're trying to do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday release schedule for content on this channel. So tune in on Monday and see what I got for you. So until next time, bye-bye.